Okay, now that we know how to select our text, we're going to look at the different ways in which we can format our text. For the purpose of the assignment, your font size should be 12 and it should be Times New Roman or Arial with 1.5 line spacing. But don't worry, we're going to look at all of that right now. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is to select my first line of text here. And if I want to change the font, at the moment I can see it's Calibri. So I'm going to choose Arial, as that's going to be the one I'll be using for my assignment. You can see it's a nice clear font, easy to read. To change the font size, I can choose this drop-down menu, and either by increasing the size, you can see it increasing there, or decreasing if we needed to. So font size 12 will be what we will be using. An alternative way of changing our font size is that we can grow our font, and the benefit of using this option as opposed to the font size is that if I had headings throughout my document, I'm just going to make a couple of headings here. And let me see, and just as a quick example. Okay, so just say they were my headings, and I came along and I said, oh my gosh, all my font was supposed to be font size 12, so I'm going to select all my text and change it to font size 12. What happens in that case is that my headings also move to font size 12, and then I have to go back and resize them and make them larger again. So rather than do that and create extra work for myself, which you know I'm not a fan of, is that I can choose to grow the font. So everything will grow incrementally, so step by step, so everything moves up another level, or I can decrease it. So again, you can see that my headings still stay larger than my general text. So that's again a nice handy way of doing things. A button which is priceless to many is this change case button. And with this, I can choose if I'd left my caps lock on and everything was in uppercase like this and I went, oh God, I have to retype everything. Don't worry, by just selecting your text and clicking on these two little A's here, we can choose to put it into sentence case, which means that the first letter of every sentence will be a capital letter. Lowercase, if I wanted everything in small letters, in lowercase. Capitalize each word. This is quite handy if you're doing your addresses, headings, etc. and you want to have the first letter of each word as a capital letter. And then we've also got toggle case, which I am still at a loss as to why that's there. It's like something from a bad Channel 4 1980s credits. Okay, so that is how to change our case. After that, we're just going to look at other options here. We have B for bold, which makes our font a heavier, darker print. I for italics, which puts it at a slant. And U for underline. We see that we have a little arrow beside U, and anytime we have an arrow, it indicates that we have more choices available to us. So we can change the type of line, and we can even change the line colour to anything that we would like. These buttons are a little bit like light switches. We can turn them off and on as we wish. So don't worry, just because you put formatting on something, it is just as easy to take it back off. The next couple of buttons, and one that you might use on an invoice, is your strike through button. So if I wanted to cross out a piece of text, a number, etc., I can just use my strike through and that'll go through it like so. Okay, so we're going to have a look at these next two buttons. These are called subscript and superscript. And depending on your trade, you may actually use these quite a bit. If I wanted to type in H2O, like so, it's fine, but the 2 really shouldn't be displayed like that. So if I wanted to make it look like the small little 2 underneath the line, all I do is select it and use my subscript button. So if you think of submarine, sub, under, kind of that's always the way that I always think of it. So you can see that it goes below the line. If I was saying that something was 180 degrees, if I type it in with the degrees as the O, again, it looks slightly odd. Right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to select the O and we're going to use our superscript button. And by clicking on that, again, you can see that it's gone up. So Superman up in the air. Again, whatever way you want to remember these things, it's absolutely fine. But again, just to realise that these options are there for you. After that, as we move along our bars, we can see that we have our styles and our font types. So if you wanted to be very fancy with your headings, etc., you could quite easily apply some multiple forms of formatting there. If I decided that I wanted to use my highlighter, what I can choose is go to my highlight, and I have the options to choose different colours, but yellow is fine for me. And I can choose to highlight my text. If I click on it twice, the highlight will stay on and will allow me again highlight, keep that marker going as I wish. The next one, which is probably the one that I use most, I'm just going to put no colour on so that we have that turned off, is that I am going to use my Format Font button. Oh, I'm going to turn off the highlighter by clicking on it again. To change the colour of my font, again, always select. If you don't tell the computer what it is you want to change, it'll say, yeah, I can make it bold, italics, underline, red, really fancy, but kind of, I don't know what I'm putting it on, so it will do nothing for you, okay? So that's why I've selected my font and I've chose my font colour. It will default to the last colour that you have used. You can also see that there's a variety of other colours available to you. So again, have fun exploring that. Okay, as we move along the bars here, we are going to look at our justify buttons. Actually, I'll just take this heading here at the top. You can see that all my text is lined against the left-hand side of the page, okay? So therefore it's left aligned, and when you hover on it there, it'll tell you left aligned. However, you'll notice that the right-hand side of the page is jagged and slightly messy. I would always suggest that when you are doing business documents, to always justify your text so it sits nice and neatly between the margins. So I'll just demonstrate this. If I chose to justify this paragraph here, which is quite jagged, and once I'm clicked anywhere into that paragraph, this is going to take effect. So I'll choose my justify, and you can see that I have nice straight lines at the left and the right hand side of my page there. Okay, I also have the option to center my text, and again I'll go back up to this first one, and I can center if I want to pop a heading in, your name on top of the CV, etc. Or I can choose my right align buttons again, which will line up against the right hand side of the margin. This is really handy for when you need to put your address at the top right hand side of a letter. So it's a nice little quick cheat kind of that is handy. Okay, so my preference would be to select my document and then fully justify it so it looks nice and more even on the page. Great. Okay, so one more thing in this section is that we're going to look at our line spacing, because as I said, our line spacing for this is at 1.5. So I'm going to select this paragraph, go to my line spacing, so that has a little button going up and down, and I can choose to increase the line spacing. So this is the space in between the lines of the paragraphs. The line spacing for this assignment is 1.5, and that allows for comments, ease of reading, etc.